Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let us talk about NXT from October the 11th, 2022. There's no news and notes about NXT other than Shugga Ducky Quack Quack. Our boy Booker T is here, just absolutely doing a great job on commentary as usual. We know it's only temporary, but very glad to have Booker Man on commentary. All right, let's go through this show. All right. Match 1, Braun Breaker defeats Big Body Javier Bernal, which, who saw that coming? Anyway, JD McDonough was on commentary for this match. He also did a stare down with Braun Breaker after the match. They barely got anything done before Ilya Dragunov came out there. Ilya Dragunov got in the face of the other two guys. He attempted to headbutt Braun Breaker, it seemed like, but Braun moved and ended up hitting McDonough. It ended up being a bit of a scrap. Everybody got into a fight, and that was kind of it. Then Ilya was trying to leave the arena later because he's not afraid at all of the NXT parking lot. He has zero fear, zero miedo of the NXT parking lot. I mean, he act like it doesn't exist. Then he runs into Grayson Waller, who is wearing these Stevie Wonder ass glasses, and he's interrupting Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov asks him why is he wearing his grandma's sunglasses, and they get into a bit of a tiff. To which Grayson Waller said, "Why you in such a rush to leave?" So Ilya was like, "You know what? You're right. Maybe I ought to stick around. Maybe I ought to just hang out right here." And that means main event time, Grayson Waller versus Ilya Dragunov. But before that, Apollo Crews had a little bit of a vignette. In his vignette, he says, seeing everyone and everything through one's own point of view, that if you change your perspective just a little bit, you change how you see things. And that if you turn your lens on yourself, then, things will change. It was a bunch of visual metaphors, Then he says that he's going to force his perspective onto Grayson Waller. I was like, what the hell? Force his perspective? Like, what the hell is he talking about? Anyway, main event time, Grayson Waller versus Ilya Dragunov. Grayson Waller had to go outside the ring for his silly, stupid finish. And then the spin the wheel, make a deal thing started to spin on its own. Which spooked Grayson Waller, of course, so he took extra seconds to get back in the ring. Dragunov ended up, of course, not getting hit with that dumbass finish. Seconds later, Dragunov hits the Torpedo Moscow, which they're not calling Torpedo Moscow anymore. They're just calling it the Torpedo, and wins the match. Then he's immediately cut down by a spear from Braun Breaker because Braun Breaker was trying to get him earlier. So, the supernatural stuff that's involved with this Apollo Crews, Grayson Waller feud is not good. I'm not a fan of it. It sucks, to be quite honest. Apollo Crews has been very uninteresting since he came to NXT. I don't know whose fault that is, but it is. Braun Breaker, he beat up Ilya Dragunov, which is nice, but I don't like the idea of a 3-man feud. Like, I've never been a fan of that. I don't like triple threat matches. Never been a fan of triple threat matches. I don't care who's having them. I cannot stand a triple threat match. But we're stuck with what we're stuck with. So, whatever. But Braun looks strong as ever. He's probably going to lose the belt. I don't know. We got to talk about this a little bit later. We'll talk about it later, though. Okay, Alba Fire. Alba Fire has a promo. In it, she says she was very serious, which is why she took Mandy for her little joyride. I forgot to mention that she kidnapped Mandy Rose last week. Mandy Rose apparently agreed to give her a title match, but has not reappeared at Halloween Havoc. She agreed to give her a title match, and then said that if these girls want revenge, meaning Toxic Attraction, that's fine because she'll be waiting for them. JC Jane took up the challenge. My favorite member of Toxic Attraction was JC Jane. And she says that they should be the number one contenders for the tag team championships, but they got jumped in the parking lot by Alba Fire and got hit with the bat. Which says that if they don't feel the flames, instead they're gonna send Alba Fire back to Middle Earth a hot mess. So, flame metaphors. I like JC Jane. But of course, JC Jane loses to Alba Fire because Alba Fire is going to be the one that's wrestling for the women's title, right? Unfortunate. Anyway, after Alba Fire wins, she's slapping hands with some fans after the match, and then she gets immediately attacked by somebody in a hoodie. Once the hoodie is removed, we see it is Sonya Deville. It is Sonya Deville. They shield bomb Alba Fire through a table. Great segment. Awesome shit. Great stuff. Backstage, Sonya Deville cuts a fantastic promo, showing you how easy it's done. Saying that her and Mandy may have had their problems, but that's still her best friend. And you just don't go around abducting. They didn't use the word kidnapped because she's not a kid. She abducted Alba Fire, abducted Mandy Rose, the greatest women's champion in NXT history. And you can't do that without consequences. So, for Alba Fire needs to be warned that next week, Sonya Deville will be waiting for her in the ring. I loved it. I thought this was fantastic. Sonya Deville as a member of Toxic Attraction. Again, as I said, I think the previous week, I'm not that much of a fan of it. But it looked good. It was a nice little thing. We know that Mandy Rose's brother passed away. So Mandy was going to be out of action for a little while. So it's unfortunate that this had to be the case to bring them together. But, maybe Mandy will be back next week. So to prevent Sonya Deville from losing. I know WWE doesn't really care about Sonya Deville, and because they don't care, they probably would have Alba Fire beat her in the middle of the ring, but this has jazzed up things. I think a lot of people are very excited about this whole Sonya Deville being in Toxic Attraction thing, even though she doesn't fit the theme. And I love that she had a Hitman suit underneath a hoodie. That was badass, man. That's putting your brain on it. You're putting your foot all in your work when you put on a 3-piece suit and you put a hoodie over it. You're really getting down. You got a tie on under a hoodie. Oh shit. You're doing it right. You're doing well. I love me some Sonya Deville. This is excellent. I just wish it would last a little bit longer. I know it's going to have to put the rush on it because Mandy has a match literally for the title next week. But hopefully Sonya can stick around for a little while or bring them up to main roster. Okay, so where were we? We got a vignette for Axiom versus Nathan Frazer, the third match. Last match to qualify for the ladder match. Nathan Frazer won the match. A fine athletic contest. They shook hands afterwards, so there was no heat going in and no heat coming out. I mean, whatever. Those two guys are going to have a very difficult time getting over. Hopefully this is going to be the end of Axiom. We can go back to this guy being called A-Kid, or at least coming up with a different name and dropping this Axiom gimmick, because this Axiom thing ended up being a huge mistake, and it actually made somebody who was very cool into somebody who was trash. Like, I know that A-Kid is undersized, but even undersized, the gimmick with the mask makes him look like a kid. It sucks. You can make him something else. Do something else. Just, and Nathan Frazer, my God, he is, a mannequin at this point. He has good matches, but so what? What else is there to be interested about when it comes to Nathan Frazer? There's nothing to be interested about. So there's a lot of speedy, thin guys in this ladder match. There's a lot of guys who are basically the same archetype. All right, so Sonya was backstage. Valentina Feroz asked him to be in her corner. He agreed to do so. And then we found out her opponent is going to be Indy Hartwell, who is still in NXT, despite the fact that I thought she was going to be gone a month ago. So Valentina Feroz loses to Indy Hartwell via a superplex from the top rope. And I am adding my name to the many names of people who love the idea of basic finishers, like a superplex being a finish, power slam. I don't mind this stuff. Bring back the atomic drop. Bring back lariat finishers. Bring back the big splashes and stuff like that. I mean, come on. Not everything has to be a 360 whoop-de-doo, A superplex hurts. All right. A power slam hurts. Like it sucks. It sucks to take. Power bombs is a very basic move. A superplex is it's a basic move now because so many people do it. But it was a finisher in 1982. It was one of Bob Orton's finishers. I mean, let's go back to that. But during this match, Sonya actually left Valentina Feroz. Left her alone because Veer had come out there and stood next to him. And of course, on Twitter, she was deeply concerned about why Sonya left her, which is a good question that they probably won't bother to answer. Meanwhile, Pretty Deadly was tailgating indoors. They're barbecuing indoors, which tells you they don't know anything, but they were also just being silly. So they were wearing beer helmets and all kind of stuff, talking about the two tastiest snacks, and it was great stuff as usual from Pretty Deadly. I hate that one of them blew his gimmick, Elton Prince, the one with the white hair. Because on Twitter, apparently him and Kelly Kincaid, aka Quinn McKay, are engaged or something like that. She blew his gimmick on Twitter. Everybody thought the guy was literally gay because he did such a great job playing that character. Then she blew the gimmick up on Twitter. Still very nice though. Still very nice. But Pretty Deadly with the paint tattooed on their chests. It's so over the top. Oh God. But they were out there to talk smack about and watch the number one contenders for the tag team championship match. Malik Blade and Idris Enofe defeat Briggs and Jensen and the Dyad because Cameron Grimes got involved. So Malik Blade and Idris Enofe are actually going to be the number one contenders. I love that. Great job, Shawn Michaels. I would have wished you could have gave them more character and talked about them a little bit more to individualize them. Yes, you have a lot of the same guys with the same kind of body types on this show because Idris Enofe and Malik Blade have the same body type as Oru Mensah and Wes Lee and Carmelo Hayes, and they all look the same. They all have the same body type. This is what happens when you don't give people characters. You can just say almost all of these people are the same person. Now, Carmelo Hayes, of course, is individualized. He has his own gimmick, own character, all that kind of stuff. But most of these other guys, you could probably swap Oru Mensah with Malik Blade and nobody would even notice. You could swap Wes Lee and Oru Mensah and nobody would even notice. So, fine. I like Malik Blade and Idris Enofe though. When they were doing fun, entertaining stuff, they were fun, entertaining guys. I wish we could go back to that. I wish they would get a gimmick where they actually match and they're not like one wearing a Cosby sweater and the other one's got like a flowing robe. How about you two guys get on the same page? That being said, this match was just guys everywhere. It's one of those Young Bucks type matches where rules? What rules? We're just going to do our thing and everybody's going to be in the ring at the same time because who cares? Anyway, the Dyad were very upset at getting screwed out of this match. That led to them attacking a cameraman in the parking lot. See, even the parking lot is so dangerous. Even the cameraman ain't safe. So Joe Gacy took the camera and said that it's time for Cameron Grimes to face the full force of the Dyad 3-on-1 because he doesn't have any friends. So they tried being nice, but they're not going to be nice anymore to Cameron Grimes. All right, cool. Later, Cameron Grimes kind of chuckled about how good it felt to screw over the Dyad, and then said he doesn't have any faith and he doesn't trust anybody in NXT, but that has nothing to do with the rest of the WWE roster. So they're teasing that Cameron Grimes is going to find some partners that are on the main roster of WWE. Who could it be? That's a good question. Who would make good partners for Cameron Grimes to fight Joe Gacy and the Dyad? I don't know. Like, I'm sitting here thinking it would have to be a tag team, wouldn't it? So what tag team Can't be the Viking Raiders, can't be the Usos, can't be Los Lotharios. All of those, for starters, are heel teams. Babyface team with the Street Profits. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't look good. I don't know. But they're doing a lot of teasing of main roster talent popping up on NXT, especially next week. So I'm guessing this is the big setup for how they're going to deal with AEW running the same night. Is that they're going to bring a lot of main roster talent over to combat them. That's smart, because they're doing it in a very smart way, because Cameron Grimes has been he's been by himself in NXT all this time. So wanting to sort of move on and find talent that's from somewhere else makes a little bit of sense. I don't know who it could possibly be, though. And speaking of finding opponents from the main roster, Cora Jade is backstage, and she's talking about looking for your pick your poison opponent for Roxanne Perez, and she says she has a list of people, and she's got to whittle it down to the finalists and everything. And Roxanne likely won't be able to find anyone because she has no friends. He'll telling you that you don't have any friends. That's a running gag in NXT and apparently in AEW too. The microphone stand is talking to her and tells her that Roxanne Perez actually got invited to SmackDown, where she's apparently going to pick Cora Jade's opponent. Cora Jade's like, she's going to get to go to SmackDown? No, I can't. She can't possibly live with this. It's completely given jealousy. So then she goes and runs off, but then she comes back a little bit later and says that she was invited to go to Raw by Rhea Ripley, and so she's going to pick Roxanne Perez's opponent from Raw. So next week, Roxanne Perez will wrestle somebody from Raw, while Cora Jade will wrestle somebody from SmackDown, and then they will wrestle each other at NXT. NXT Halloween Havoc. All right, so that's cool. I'm assuming both of these girls have to win. I'm assuming both Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez have to win. Cora Jade apparently alluded to picking Ronda Rousey to be the opponent for Roxanne Perez, which would be wild because there's no way Roxanne can win that match. Like, it was outside the realm of possibility for her to win that match. So then what would happen? Would be Bianca Belair would be the opponent for, would be the opponent for Roxanne Perez. And then if she picked Ronda Rousey to be Cora Jade's opponent, they both would have to lose. So it would have to be somebody on the lower part of the roster that would be their opponents, because they would have to win. Unless they're going to plan to do disqualifications. Or because it's WWE, they'll do roll-up losses for both of them or some shit like that. Natalia's already been in NXT. She already did her charity run in NXT. Now, the name Rhea Ripley was used, but the name Ronda Rousey was also used, and I don't think it'll be either one of them. And I don't think that you definitely don't want to bring Rhea Ripley back to NXT, especially since she hasn't had a match on the main roster in forever. Now, maybe you could have an Alexa Bliss or an Asuka or maybe Dakota Kai or something like that could come down and wrestle. And now from SmackDown, you could have, who are some baby faces? I guess Raquel, Shotzi. You could have, you already have Sonya Deville down there for next week. So, Liv Morgan, I guess. Maybe Liv Morgan could come down to NXT and get a win. She's not the champion anymore. So, maybe that could be fun. I like this idea. I like the pick your poison concept. I just wish there was some real stakes to it. Like, if you lose your pick your poison match, then the X, Y, or Z happens. That we never get that. Because they almost never lose the pick your poison matches, Very rarely does somebody actually have a pick your poison match and actually lose. All right. So, Kiana James. Kiana James is she's coming across a big acquisition. She's trying to buy a plot of land. And we find out that the land she's trying to buy is underneath Chase University, and the land is worth more than the college. So she wants to buy the land and then get rid of the school. Like, this is just plain evil. This is something out of Southpaw Regional Wrestling, like almost literally. So, I think Ariana Grace is her assistant now, which they kind of teased before. You know, they kind of teased that before. But she ended up having a match with Thea Hale. This ended up being not a match at all, because while Kiana James and Thea Hale were both introduced, Robert Stone got into the ring and was upset that Thea Hale body slammed him, and that the whole world is laughing at him. The crowd continues to chant, "You got body slammed, you got slammed, you got slammed." He then ran at Thea Hale and got back body dropped. And while she was distracted, being very excited about this, she got clobbered by Kiana James and pinned. So the match was literally like, I don't know, 2 minutes, with those 2 minutes be full of a Robert Stone promo. Apparently, Thea Hale must not be ready for in-ring action. So why is she in this position? That sucked. But at least Kiana James won, and at least she's coming along as a character, and there's something there with an end game. Either she's going to buy the land that Chase University is on, or she's not, you know. How is that going to go? Tune in next time. Same Dragon Ball station, same Dragon Ball time. All right. Wesley defeated Stax. Just the thing that happened. Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes assaulted Wesley after the match. This led to Oro Mensah making the big save. Again, all these people are interchangeable. Stax, you know, tough luck, kid. Later, Stax is backstage. He's upset. Tony D'Angelo is also upset with him. He hobbles in, walking wounded. Tony D'Angelo blames Stax for losing the match and for his PCL being burnt, because he told Stax to stay outside the ring and Stax didn't do it. So now Stax has to pay the price, and he's got to fight somebody. And Tony D'Angelo won't tell Stax who, even though Stax really wants to know. And then said that you'll find out when the music hits next week. So he's going to make Stax sit on it for a week. All right. I'm okay with this, I guess. They're doing a lot of surprise opponent stuff, you know, like the same gimmick over and over and over again, which tells me it's probably going to be some main roster talent, you know, who's going to play hitter for Tony D'Angelo. Okay, sure, if you say so. You know, like this is a very important week for NXT, because AEW will be running opposite them. So yeah, they're trying to load it up a little bit. So even though I don't like that it's the same gimmick being done again and again and again, who's going to be this guy's partner, who's going to be his opponent, who's going to be her opponent, even though I don't like that shit and I think it's repetitive, I'm willing to give it a pass, because they are legitimately trying to compete against AEW as they get bumped from their time slot. And like I said, I expect it to be neck and neck in terms of overall viewers, but for AEW to have a much longer 18 to 24. I'm sorry, 18 to 49. All right. What's next? We got a Nikita Lyons, Zoe Stark vignette in which they talked about the progress of the two, in which Zoe Stark went from being in one of those scrums to become an NXT talent or a Performance Center talent to now helping run the drills. And Triple H is talking about how impressed he is with her. And he's telling this to Nikita Lyons, and Nikita Lyons is improving, as they say. She's getting better. I don't know why you would position her as being the one that's, you know, that needs the most help. You know, like, I don't know about that one. Because when it comes to Nikita Lyons, it's simple. Boobies. Butt. You know, thick thighs save lives. Thick thighs apparently also going to save careers. Of course, their plan is to be the tag team champions. Like, of course it is. You know, what else would it be? I didn't mind the vignette. Wish Zoe Stark had a personality. She'd be perfect if she did. Maybe if Vince was around, he'd force her to get one. You know, but Triple H probably likes her just how she is. You know, just saltine cracker. All day, every day. Don't even add butter. Anyway, Hank Wilkins, whatever the fuck his name is. He was backstage watching the TV screen. He talked to Quincy Elliott, and Quincy Elliott said that he Zion Quinn will be meeting him next week. I don't know how he knew that, and and Hank apparently didn't know. But I guess it was Hank saying that he had Quincy Elliott's back, and Quincy Elliott gave him a pet name, and then all the other security guards started making fun of Hank. I think you call him Hanky Panky or Hanky something like that. And all the security guards like, ooh, you got, I'm like, ooh, what's wrong with these dudes? Pause, right? Pause, right? Pause, right? Anyway, and the last thing we got to talk about here is Roderick Strong and this 1980s action movie scene we got here, which I loved. Roderick Strong is in a neck brace. He's also in a wheelchair. I think his arms and stuff were bandaged up. It was ludicrous. He apologizes to the Creed brothers because he is the one who brought in Damon Kemp into the Diamond Mine. Also, his attitude has been the shits. Then he says he wants Damon Kemp to be in the hospital like he is. So the Creed brothers said that, he didn't have to apologize, but Diamond Mine is forever, and Julius needs to win. My favorite line, and this is what made it so 80s, is Roderick Strong looked at Julius Creed and said, Julius, I need you to do me a favor. He's like, what's that? Anything you want, man. I need you to win. Whenever you see that, you know you in the 80s in an action montage. That shit was in Bloodsport. That shit was in Rocky. That shit was in every 80s action movie you'll watch. Do me a favor, man. Win. I don't know who came up with that line, but it was, you in the 80s action movie when you get that do me a favor line. But I like it. It redeemed Roderick Strong. Made it, even though he was a bit of a dickhead, it made it seem like, he's not the dickhead we're dealing with right now. Damon Kemp is. So overall, the episode of NXT was fine. Didn't have a problem with it. Too many matches. Definitely too many matches. I think there were 7 matches on this show. NXT is starting to get off the rails a little bit with this whole I'm going to make the main event in the middle of the show kind of thing, which I don't like. I don't like that. I don't like that whole we don't know what the main event is. It's like you spent a week promoting something. Maybe that should be your main event. Like if you took the time to do Javier Bernal and Braun Breaker to set it up the previous week, then one, that match should get some time because it's apparently a match you plan to promote. Otherwise, don't promote the fucking match. Just have, Braun Breaker will be in action. So, save us the fucking trouble. I get the idea of wanting people to see something unfold in front of them, but at the same time, I would rather you just tell me what's going to be on the show. Not, to the point of AEW where you tell me every single match that's going to be on the show. I don't need to know everything, but at least tell me what the opener and, if you're going to promote 2 matches, let those 2 matches get some time and let those 2 matches matter. And then everything else in the middle can be, horseshit. But at least give me one, at least the main event. Or the main focus match. You don't have to actually close the show. Because sometimes you're going to have something else close the show. At least have that make some sense. But generally speaking, I liked NXT. It was okay. I didn't hate it. We had some fun stuff on here. Malik Blade and Idris Enofe. I really am hoping, I'm trying to manifest the best. I'm trying to use all my good hood rat language. I'm trying to manifest the best for these guys because I really want them to make it. They were very entertaining dudes a couple of months ago before they stripped them of their personalities. They were entertaining guys. Hopefully they get another chance to be funny and to be, I wish it was a feud with Pretty Deadly so that they could do funny vignettes and stuff like that. That would be great. The fact that they're just kind of like random number 1 contenders kind of takes it away from me, but I'll be able to deal with it. I'll handle it. But let me know what you guys think. like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.